time of year where we celebrate all things spooky, and every countdown artist seems to make a special list. Obviously, I'm talking about Halloween. However, most countdown artists only seem to focus on the disturbing aspects of video games, like disturbing levels, music, and bosses, so I decided to try something a little different. If you haven't guessed already from the title, this countdown is going to be about one of the most common video game enemies out there, zombies. So, what defines a zombie? Well, a zombie is any reanimated corpse, be it skeletal or otherwise, which means I'll also consider skeletal enemies of mummies as well as your generic zombie for this list. For a zombie to make it onto this list, it has to be original, of a unique quality, and I have to either like or be scared by it. These rules also go on top of the one per franchise and play before place rules, so no zombies from Dead Space, Castlevania, and Left 4 Dead. Right, off we go.
This used to be a nice neighborhood!
On a lighter note, our first stop is a smartphone and tablet hit, Plants vs Zombies. Most of the unique zombies in this game are just either a normal zombie holding or wearing something, or are extremely frustrating. You guys think I've chosen Dr. Zomboss, right? Wrong. You see, my favourite zombie from this list is a digger zombie. If you haven't played the game yet, don't ask me where you first encountered this guy because I simply don't know. What I do know is that this zombie is the only one who will attack from the left side of the lawn by first tunneling under all your plants. Because of this zombie's main weakness is a split pea, due to this plant being able to fire twice as fast backwards as forwards, so you can hopefully destroy it before it eats too many of your plants. There is a trickier way to stop this zombie before it even starts tunneling, and that is to use a magnet shroom to steal his pickaxe before we can use it. In short, the digger zombie isn't one of those zombies that is scary as such, but can offer the player a fair challenge which doesn't become frustrating too quickly. If I told you that there were zombies in the Mario series, you would call me crazy. But there are zombies here. No, really, there are. If you know where to look, that is. With that considered, the number 9 entry on this list is the dry bones. If you don't know what dry bones are, then you have either A, never played a Mario game before, or B, been living under a rock for the past 25 years. For the benefit of these people, dry bones are skeletal Koopa Troopers who cannot be killed except with the Starman power-up. After their debut appearance in Super Mario Bros. 3, the dry bones have become staple enemies in Bowser Castles and the majority of Mario platformers. As well as their platformer appearances, they have made numerous appearances in the Mario RPGs and the Mario Party and Mario Kart series. The dry bones share the same attack pattern as the Koopa Troopers, however attacking them causes them to crumble into a pile of bones, only to reform a few seconds later. Yep, the dry bones are an example of constantly respawning enemies that aren't rage-inducing. Yes, I'm looking at you, Falcons from Ninja Guiden. Like the majority of the enemies in Mario series, dry bones have a number of subspecies such as dark bones, super dry bones, mattermouths, and dull bones. There have also been 2 bosses in the Mario series based off the dry bones. Dry Bowser, a skeletal form of Bowser, and Kingfin, a skeletal fish from Super Mario Galaxy. Wow, who knew there was so much to say about a bunch of skeletons? How many of you out there have heard of Suda51's new game, Lollipop Chainsaw? I'm not surprised if you haven't. Not many people have talked about it, seeing as the game is fairly recent. However, seeing as the game's plot is based around a zombie invasion, it had to be represented on this list. Every boss in this game is a zombie master who embodies some aspect of rock and roll. However, not even I was prepared for the final boss. I'd already battled my way through a zombie 1970s punk, through to a zombie 1950s teddy boy, but the final boss is a giant, overweight zombie Elvis called Killer Billy. Holy crap, I wasn't expecting this. Suda, you've done it again. This undead tub of lard, yes, I did just copy the Autarch of Flame there, begins the battle by grabbing you and lifting you off the ground, meaning that the first stage of the battle with him simply involves you blasting his eyes and sunglasses with your grenade launcher until they are destroyed, with you having to use your chainsaw to destroy the occasional cars he throws at you. Once you've shot him enough times, he drops you onto the roof of a nearby building and the real fight begins. In this phase, Killer Billy gains a few new attacks, shooting laser beams out of his eyes, spawning Cadillacs full of zombies which will attempt to mow you down, and even attempting to stuff you into his mouth. All of the attacks in the small arena make a pretty challenging boss fight. After the fight, you venture inside Killer Billy in order to destroy his core. Sorry for the vague description, I'm trying not to spoil it too much for the people who haven't played the game yet. After an emotional, yet slightly annoying cutscene, you narrowly escape Killability before he is destroyed. However, Killability is lower on the list because we know absolutely nothing about him. All we know is that he is some kind of zombie deity and can only be summoned if the 5 zombie overlords and the necromancer used to summon him are sacrificed as part of a mysterious ritual. I personally would like to know why he knows about Juliet Starling, the protagonist, despite the two never meeting, and I'd like to know if the antagonist of the game, Swan, can control Killability, seeing as he serves at Killability's court. Sorry Killability, your backstory is too vague for you to be any higher. Another game I couldn't overlook when making this list was Call of Duty Black Ops. Why? 2 words. Nazi zombies. I find the next zombie on this list to be more disturbing than anything else. This zombie is the astronaut zombie from the DLC map Moon. Like Killability, we don't know much about this type of zombie, but in this case, it's what makes him scarier than most of the zombie types. The fact that this zombie has a random plane in over his head means that players often mistake it for the players, leading to some heart-pounding situations where the zombie slowly walks towards you, grabs you, and proceeds to headbutt you. These things also try to take you with them when they are destroyed, creating an explosion which deals moderate damage and knockback. It also has the added bonus of taking out any zombies caught in the blast radius. Personally, I find these zombies to be even scarier than George Romero. George, unlike every other zombie, has some sort of backstory, and it's this what makes him scary. But it's what we don't know about this zombie that makes it so terrifying. Why does it explode when you kill it? Who are they, and how do they end up as zombies? But most important of all, why do they look so similar to Captain Vladimir from No More Heroes 2? What happens when you take a mutated squid crab thing and stick it onto the head of a zombie? You get the Headcrab Zombies from Half-Life. These things are a result of what happens when a headcrab attaches itself to a human victim. The headcrabs gain full control of the victim's movement, and their hands mutate into skeletal claws. Should the player remove the headcrab from the zombie, then they will notice that the victim's head is bent upwards with their face frozen in an expression of terror. These zombies are more persistent than the Decepticon Leapers from Transformers Fall of Cybertron, as no matter how many body parts these guys lose, they will not stop until either they or their prey is dead. These zombies also have another form, the Zombines, which is the result of a headcrab attaching to a combined Overwatch soldier. These zombies also have a pretty freaky Easter egg associated with them. If you record the distorted speech pattern of a zombie and then reverse it, you will discover that the distorted speech is actually screams of pain and cries for help. For the Zombines, all you have to do is change the pitch and turn up the audio, and you will hear them repeating their last moments of life over and over again. You see, this is why I don't play horror games. Ah, the Fable series. Possibly the only thing that's disturbing in this franchise is the dream sequence from Fable 2. Ugh, that place gives me the creeps, especially when it starts raining blood. I suppose I can't really find any zombies here, so I guess I'll be moving on. Oh god, not these things. Yes, the Hollow Men from the Fable series are quite disturbing creatures. They're undead corpses possessed by restless souls of the dead called wisps. Not that type of wisp. That's it. They are first introduced as Fable 2 as a new type of undead from the original game, but it's in Fable 3 where they really come into their own. The Hollow Legion portion of the game as the player assists soldiers that Morningwood fought repel a siege of Hollow Men by firing mortar cannons at them, and must then fight the Hollow Men directly when the front gate is breached. But then, once you think it's all over, you then proceed to fight a Hollow Man boss, Lieutenant Simmons. He can be a fair bit of a challenge, seeing as he wields 2 swords at once and can deal a fair bit of damage. Not much else to say about this one, except that if you see a group of lights next to a graveyard, get the hell away from there. Personally, I find the Elder Scrolls series to be a darker version of the Fable series, and to be fairly honest, I didn't particularly enjoy Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. The story just took ages to get going and wasn't really immersive, and I found the combat system to be very sluggish, and it was hard to pull off fast combos needed to take down tougher enemies. Although I did enjoy stealing stuff from people's houses. Mwahaha! I'm going to take everything you own and you can't do anything about it because you gave me your house key. But enough about that. Let's take a look at the next entry on this list. The Dread Zombie. Like all of the zombie types, these zombies have naked, rotting bodies covered with wounds and are commonly missing an arm or a leg. The reason why the Dread Zombies stand out above the other zombies in the Elder Scrolls games is that they have the ability to regenerate health and can perform more powerful attacks than the other zombie types. These zombies have been known to kill guards and other powerful entities, making them one of the hardest enemies in the entire Elder Scrolls series. What makes them even more difficult to kill is their resistance to bladed weapons, forcing you to either use a mace or an axe to kill them. After learning all this about these enemies, I was really looking forward to facing them in Skyrim, until I found that the Bethesda Studios turned them from an enemy into something you could summon with a spell. God damn you. A lot of people may disagree with the number 3 entry and claim that they aren't proper zombies, but I beg to differ. Anyways, the number 3 entry is the Flood infected from the Halo series. Before you all start whining, but the Flood mostly infect living bodies, at least give me a chance to speak. While it is true that the Flood's main choice of victims are those who are still very much alive, I decided to count them due to my first experience with them. Me and my cousin were playing through Halo 3 on the mission where you have to take down the Covenant leader. We got to a certain point in the mission where the Flood swapped sides for some reason. We were making steady progress and we were shotgunning, splicing, bashing, shooting and blowing up pretty much anything that got in our way. After taking down the Covenant leader, the Flood decided they wanted to switch sides again and they tended to kill us. In order to do that, they needed host bodies, and seeing as we just created 4 mounds of Covenant corpses, you can guess what happened next. Yep, we found ourselves up to our necks in undead, virus-controlled elites, brutes, and marines. The reason why I put them onto this list is because of how unexpected this encounter is. I mean, you're gonna have to face the Flood at some point, but how many of you were expecting this? Not just a zombie horde, but an alien zombie horde. If that's not creative, I don't know what is. You're probably sitting there wondering why we haven't seen the psychotic assassin that is Matt Helms yet. Well, the answer is, he's number 2 on this list. I'm not sure if he's a zombie or not, but the fact that he can't be killed and has been resurrected from the dead countless times means that he qualifies. Also, Sylvia Christel pretty much tells you he's supernatural. Matt Helms and his boss fight pretty much symbolise every aspect of horror movies. Creepy abandoned house? Check. Insane, crazed, murderous killer? Check. Undead entity that can't be killed or destroyed? Check. And above all, axe-wielding maniac? Check. The overall fight with him was a bit of a letdown, seeing as he has a predictable attack plan and he spams both projectile and flamethrower attacks. However, his backstory is pretty disturbing, because as a child, he was abandoned by his parents in a burning house. A Santa Destroy urban legend states that Matt Helms made a deal with the devil to come back to life and was revived by dark arts. Revived by dark arts, eh? Seems like stereotypical zombie story to me. After he murdered his parents, Helms stayed in that same house, killing anyone who came there, up until his fight with everyone's favourite badass, Travis Touchdown. But what really lands Matt Helms the number 2 slot is his death. Travis stabs his beam katana into Helms' forehead and makes his head explode. This was the only death in the No More Heroes series that made me cringe while watching it. You know what? I think Travis describes this guy best.
Psychotic fucker.
What? I haven't used that joke yet. Alright, before we get to number 1, it's time for a good old-fashioned recap. Number 10, the Digger Zombies. Number 9, the Dry Bones. Number 8, what the hell? Number 7, Undead Spacemen. Number 6, the Headcrab Zombies. Number 5, the Hollow Men. Number 4, why? Just why? Number 3, the Flood Infected. And number 2, yep, this guy again. You know what? All the other entries were great zombies because of the games they appeared in, and the fact that half of them were kind of expected, seeing as they came from zombie-based games. However, I consider the number 1 entry on this list to be even more disturbing than Killer Billy, the Headcrab Zombies, and even Gyges. Okay, maybe not that disturbing. My number 1 are the Redeads. I really couldn't put these guys any lower. The Redeads are regarded as one of the most disturbing enemies in Zelda history, second only to the Handmasters. No, that's Master Hand. I said Handmasters. That's better. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. Anyways, what makes the Redoubt so scary is how unexpected that first encounter with them in Ocarina of Time is. In case you haven't played the game yet, I'll explain it for you. After the first meeting with Rauru, Link leaves the Temple of Time and discovers that the castle town has been completely destroyed and abandoned. You will then notice a few dark figures either standing or sitting in the centre of the plaza. Then they will start moving and let out a blood-curdling scream. That scream, it not only paralyses Link but haunts my nightmares. After that encounter, I thought that was it. However, it appears Nintendo had other ideas. The Redouts appear in other areas too, such as the Shadow Temple and in random holes in the ground to scare unsuspecting players. But the most disturbing thing about them is their method of attack. They will first attempt to paralyze Link with their gaze, and like I mentioned earlier, will let out a scream if Link is hit by this attack. Once Link is paralyzed, they will jump onto Link's back and proceed to strangle him to death. But what secures the Redouts a place on this list is what I originally thought they were. Seeing as how I first encountered them in the ruined castle town, and seeing how I only seem to encounter them in the future, I assume that the Redouts were once the people of the castle town that were killed during Ganon's initial takeover of Hyrule. I now know that they're just beings conjured up by Ganondorf's magic, but I'll never forget how terrifying they once were. I'm a Nintendo kid, and I think that the Redouts are the greatest zombies to ever appear in video games.